Sit on down, family vacation is coming round. On the road, in the air, family vacation will take you there. Family vacation. The more you buy, the more you save. Family vacation. Travel with us if you're really brave. Grab a snack, grab a drink. We're more entertaining than you'd ever think. Come along and join the fun. Vacation days are coming to you now.
Good morning vlog. Today is day 2. Sorry, there's a hair in my mouth. And we are starting our day off. We're gonna do the Freedom Trail today. And we're gonna take a lift to Boston Common and start there. But first we're gonna get some food. And everyone is just finishing getting ready for the day. So this is the little breakfast cafe off our hotel. And they have tons and tons of cute stuff. I'm getting some food and drink. But look at this place. It's just adorable. And then Dad and Ella are sitting outside. Here's everyone. Except Mom, she's eating a chai. We got zucchini bread, cinnamon, coffee bread. And we got a breakfast sandwich. Lisa got sausages. And we're just at this little coffee shop that's attached to the Hilton. Super cute. Hello, this is an official vlog entry by Ella. I wanted to say I thoroughly apologize for not filming my cannoli last night, and it will be inserted tonight. Thank you. So we are at the Boston Visitor Center in Boston Commons. We got the non-for-profit Help the Trail walking guide.
Because we care.
Because we care. And we're gonna start Boston Commons. This is the State House.
Let me introduce Miss Ruby Rollins, who is a friend, well-known sister in the community. She's going to come and speak with you at this time. Let's give her
This is the Park Street Church that we can't go in, but it's here. Samuel Adams grave.
Working in collusion together. Now, this is where it gets really funny. The other two main contributors were both women, Mercy Otis Warren and Jane Adams. And the thing is that both of them wrote plays and pamphlets, but they had to do it under pseudonyms, right?
Women's liberation right
would
here.
Not be, right, women's voices would not be heard at the time. But in combination with basically Thomas Paine's Common Sense, you know, the things written by Mercy Otis Warren and Adams were probably the most influential documents, including the story, right, of the Boston Massacre and the engraving that the Boston Massacre was made of. The famous picture, the engraving was done by none other than silversmith Paul Revere.
This is King's Chapel and the burial ground.
This was Boston's first proper burial
Boston's
ground.
first proper burial ground.
Only one for 30 years.
Sorry.
Who was buried here? Anybody named one?
This is the first public school where Ben Franklin
What's your
went.
third point for? 13th Street.
It's called the Latin School.
Yeah,
Called the Latin.
It's really cool how they have the alphabet on the outside and numbers, all the basic things of learning, and each tile represents a different form of learning.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Apple.
And they have cats
So
and
maybe
birds
you don't want
and
to stand
ducks.
on historical monument. Thanks.
Cool.
Franklin stove, harmonica, post office,
Signing of
bifocals.
the Declaration of
The
Independence.
printing press was invented in
I
Europe.
know. I never said I
right
did it.
during the Protestant
I
Reformation.
never said that he invented
Look at is that lightning in his kite? That's
Yeah.
lightning.
Lightning rod.
Yeah.
Those are
You know
cool.
what else needs?
Oh yeah, because you're supposed to stand there and you're supposed to sit there. It's designed for a photo op.
Nice. You guys look cute.
Hey, we stopped here at the corner. We're waiting on those guys to run in the old Walgreens here to get a couple of drinks. Funny enough, we stopped right across the store from what today is a Chipotle. The reason it's important though is because of the building that actually it sits in is the old bookstore. To think at one time that was the main bookstore in Revolutionary time Boston, where people like Henry Wadsworth Longfellow and Harriet Beecher Stowe and some of the most important stories in American history were written, and all the people who wrote them lived in this area and they sold their books in that store. So that's kind of cool.
And now it's an equally historical site. Chipotle. So this is the Old South Meeting House where they planned the meeting to do the Boston Tea Party. And we are about to go in here. So they're filming a movie over here.
Movie film.
He said it's a Julia Child's
site
movie.
that I put on.
And there's a cool old car right there. We're gonna come see what they're filming.
Boston's actually famous for all of their
Oh, there's more
filming
cars.
sites. It's a lot like Chicago that they just randomly are filming stuff.
This is cool. Walk up, let's see it. Walk.
Now we're gonna have to see this movie when it comes out.
Now we gotta come see this movie.
This movie's about Julia Childs. Now, when back here in the early 90s, they filmed
This is
a
cool.
movie called The Civil Action down here in Boston. And
Yeah.
actually,
guy's in
the
costume, too.
Civil Action starred John Travolta.
He's on the old bike, yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Now
This
been in
is
suspense.
the site of the Boston Massacre and the old state house. This is History Talk with Dad.
All right, you got to take your mind back to the 1700s, right? And get rid of all of these high-rise buildings.
None of
So-
them are here.
So the only thing you really see is this building behind us. Right? That is the biggest building in the area.
Biggest building in the area. Back in the 1800s.
All the way down on Quaker, see that Quaker Street right over there,
Quaker Street.
is basically a row of inns and taverns. You know what an inn is, right?
Yeah.
Where people kind of come and they stay, and then just walk right up this. And then imagine it's towards the end of the evening and the bars are shutting down for the night. Right?
Everybody's
So
drunk.
nobody lives in this area, right? So the only people still in the taverns at the time that they're closing down are the people who've been there for a significant amount of time and they've had a significant amount of alcohol. Now that's not to say that everybody at the Boston Massacre was drunk, but when John Adams presented this argument to the courts, he told them that the people coming out of the establishments were heavily inebriated. And actually the Boston Massacre didn't begin here. It ended here, right? So over there in Quaker Street, you have the taverns, and what happened was the people came out and what they saw was a patrol of men going down the opposite side of the street, redcoats, who were stationed in this area. The garrison was actually across the street over here. It's a big building, it's gone. The garrison is where they basically house all of the soldiers. And so when they came out, they poured out into the streets of Quaker Street and they started throwing snowballs and ice and yelling profanities at these soldiers because they were inebriated, and of course there was the friction going on between those people and the colonists. They ran this direction, screaming and shouting, and people from the garrison poured into the streets because that's where the rest of the soldiers were stuck. They lined up here, basically creating a gate, trying to prevent them from coming towards the State House. They pursued on, There were shots fired into the air first, and then the second round of shots fired into the crowd. The crowd was pushing to attack them, carrying boards they had broken right out in front of one of the taverns. There was a big rain barrel, and it had been shattered. They'd broken the rain barrel, and they had taken the boards on the rain barrel and were using them as clubs, had nails in them, and they were throwing stuff, and they chased to this particular spot where the massacre occurred. Now, 5 people died in the Boston Massacre.
So
Here's something else. Here's something else John Adams pointed out to the courts. The first person who was killed, right? The first person who was killed in the Boston Massacre was a guy named Crispus Attucks. Crispus Attucks. Now, in the engraving that Paul Revere did, an engraving doesn't have any color tones in it, but when they printed the posters, they added color. And of course, what color do you think they made Crispus Attucks?
Red.
No, they made him a white man.
Even though he was black.
Even though he was Milano. He was part black. He was part black, part white. At that time, they referred to people as Milano as opposed to sort of a mixed race. He was a former slave. And of course, the Sons of Liberty, who created this situation, written up mostly by the genius of the Adams and Mercy Otis Warren, decided to change the race of Crispus Attucks because they knew that if they presented factual information about a former slave being the first person killed in the Boston Massacre, the colonies wouldn't have given a shit. The colonies would not have gone to war over the slaughtering of a slave, which they themselves have probably seen and been part of many times in their own lives. So they changed the race of Crispus Attucks. They created the story of the Boston Massacre, even though it wasn't factual. And anybody, what are you doing? Anybody could have done exactly what historians have done for years. Go to the court documents. You know, John Adams, who was part of the Sons of Liberty, actually tried the case and became extremely unpopular in Boston for defending the Redcoats. And of course, they were found not guilty. But that didn't matter because the die was cast and the story was told, and the Boston Massacre becomes one of the leading events that draws people into the revolutionary movement and begins the Revolutionary War. And essentially, it's just a pack of lies.
That's facts, bro.
See, you can see right here on the engraving itself. Look, this is Crispus Attucks right here. And this dog. Like, what's the dog doing there?
Woof woof.
Why do you think they even added a dog?
So dog lovers would be pissed.
Yeah, they just
Make it feel very American.
Hashtag.
yeah, like they were just out walking the dog.
Right.
You know? Not they were drinking in the bar and caused an uprising, but they were just out walking the dog.
So this says
This is Faneuil Hall.
not a part of its original plan. Peter Faneuil was a wealthy merchant who built it as
Sam Adams capital
Boom.
wasn't here. Interesting note. Sam Adams, not a brewer,
Sam Adams is not a brewer.
not the original.
You heard it here first, folks.
He was
Stalls on the first floor house
a
successful
revolutionist.
shops to this day. The
Yeah,
second
a
floor
farmer.
meeting hall
a farmer.
had a greater like.
This is the Holocaust Monument
Yes.
in Boston. But we're on the way to Paul Revere's house on the Freedom Trail. It's a cute little dog.
Go in it.
This is the Paul Revere house. It's tickets, but so we are taking a slight detour off the Freedom Trail to go to a bakery to get some snackies because we're getting a little hungry and we have quite a bit left. But the next stop is a church. Dad got a shirt. And yeah, that's what's up. Okay, so plans have changed. Regina's is open, and this bakery we're gonna go to is right by Regina's. So we're gonna go to Regina's, and my plan is, and I'm doing this, I don't care what the rest of the family's doing because they can plan their own food. I'm going to eat some Regina's and save some room and get some of this Bova's bakery. We just saw people eating it, and they were like swearing by it, so yeah, that's what's happening. We are here for lunch.
Can I have a drink for you or something?
So we made it into our Regina's, and we're gonna get some pizzas.
Like, there was no.
Wave hi!
What they ought to do is make.
Pizza is here.
First impressions, Claire?
This is some
Good pizza. Thumbs up from Nat. All right. Thumbs up on the Za.
We are going to the bakery now, but Mom and Dad are in the bathroom. So we just came to Bova's and there's a line out the door. Well, let's go. And we got a whole thing and I'll show you what we got. The church is up there.
So they used to display lanterns at the church steeple to signal how many British troops were advancing.
They didn't used to. They did once.
It was the
way
Paul
that they
Revere.
signaled. So back in that time.
So
No way I'm eating.
I'm gonna taste some of your guys's too.
Yeah.
I got a cannoli to
Is there a
compare
way
to
to break
Mike's.
that in half so I can put my cake in the top half?
Yeah. It's obviously the eating this.
Which cannoli do you like better? It's a solid cannoli. That's for them. It's not as good as Mike's. I prefer Mike's shells because they're a little more crunchy. But it's a good cannoli.
That's a solid coconut cake.
Solid 7. These burger cookies are like 6.
A little disappointing.
Yeah.
Robert Newman.
And
Want to go in?
I think we're okay.
Okay.
Another
Now we are
spot
going to
done.
go across the bridge.
Woo!
To the USS.
Onward we trek. Follow the red brick road. Follow the red brick road.
Stripe.
We are walking across the bridge to the last 2 stops. Bunker Hill and the USS Constitution. Yeah. That's what's up. There's Dad trekking along.
Yeah, plus it saved us $250.
So we are walking the Freedom Trail. We just crossed the bridge and now we're gonna go to the USS Constitution before we end at Bunker Hill. This is the USS Constitution. We're about to go in. You light it, Claire. You light the fuse, dude.
Here, you guys all get in there. Get around the cannon. That'll be cute.
There's the boat. We're going on board. We made it down here. There's another level.
Oh, you can go a little bit lower.
Oh, sure.
Is that the?
I don't know. You can ask this guy over here.
There's another level down there too.
What's in there?
I don't know.
That's where the power monkeys used to go. This is the galley.
There's
And the entrance to the power.
This is the Bunker Hill Monument Memorial. Monument.
Last stop on the
This is the end of the Freedom Trail. Braidsill.
And we'd have to buy a pass.
Hold on. Hey guys, so we didn't film anything this afternoon because we literally came straight back to the hotel and chilled out and did nothing. We were all really tired after walking. And then Mom tried to order sweet green for dinner, and eventually it came and it was pretty okay. And then we ate some desserts and goofed off as we normally do, and now we're going to bed. So tomorrow we'll see you for an exciting day in Boston.